Ecuador's Interior Minister Cesar Navas has confirmed to local media that the government is still negotiating the release of 2 journalists and their driver. The trio was kidnapped on Monday near the border with Colombia. Navas said reports by Colombian media that they were released is irresponsible, and he asked people to refer to official information for updates. Journalists held a second vigil for their colleagues who were on assignment when they were abducted. Many others also gathered outside Colombia's embassy in Quito. They handed a letter to authorities asking the Colombian government for help. The letter was signed by 386 journalists from around Ecuador. And in Haiti, journalists and social movements are speaking up to urge the authorities to clarify what happened to Vladimir Wagner, a reporter who disappeared on March 14th. On that day, the journalist was supposed to report to Grand Ravine, a confrontational neighborhood in the south of Port-au-Prince. A campaign has been launched on social media with the hashtag Where's Vladimir. A vigil was also held in the Haitian capital on Wednesday. Now, police found a body in the area where he went missing, but they haven't confirmed if it is Vladimir. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and South Korean President Moon Jae-in are scheduled to meet on April 27th in the border town of Panmunjom. The summit will be the first of its kind between the two Koreas in more than a decade. The date was announced in a joint statement by both sides. The announcement comes 2 days after Kim Jong-un met Chinese President Xi Jinping in his first official foreign visit since he took office. After the North-South talks, Kim will meet with U.S. President Donald Trump. That summit is set for May.
All the progress we have achieved, today's meeting, and what will happen from now on, they are all happening because of the decisions made by the leaders of North and South Korea. I want to tell you that we should discuss with sincerity in order to make the scheduled inter-Korean summit a successful one.
At least 68 people died in a fire in a police station in the Venezuelan city of Valencia in the state of Carabobo. The blaze reportedly started after inmates set fire to their mattresses in a riot attempt. Clashes later broke out as anguished family members gathered outside demanding to know the fate of their loved ones. Police were forced to use tear gas to disperse the crowd surrounding the building.
They haven't told me anything. I want to know about my son. I don't have any information on him. I don't know anything. We want information about our family members. We need information. Look at how desperate we are.
Venezuela's Attorney General Tarek William Saab later confirmed the events on his Twitter account. Saab confirmed the number of victims and said 4 prosecutors have been assigned to investigate the circumstances that led to the riot attempt. He added that 2 of the deceased were women who were visiting their relatives. He said autopsies are being carried out and the bodies are being returned to their families. And Venezuela is also battling to improve its reputation on the international landscape. The government has claimed its image is being forcibly tarnished by Western media. So, as our Freddie Gillingham reports, the Communications Minister Jorge Rodriguez is actively trying to fix that.
International media use words like refugee crisis on par with Syria, violent crime compared to that of a war zone, and a president who now holds the title of dictator when discussing Venezuela. From the outside, it's easy to believe that Venezuela is on the brink of total destruction. However, Venezuela's communications minister Jorge Rodriguez feels that there is a significant amount of misrepresentation going on against Venezuela. As part of his current media tour through Europe, Rodriguez addressed the issue.
We see migration as a symptom, mainly of a war against Venezuela. If you review all that media is saying against Venezuela, it can generate the sense of hopelessness among the population. This review is something we are trying to do, to show how is the reality.
This reality distortion may generate more clicks in the short run, but in the long run, they could be having dangerous consequences. Despite being unpopular, Trump's framing of Venezuela as a threat to their national interest could work in his favor, as analyst Mary Sterling believes.
Venezuela
is besieged by the media, which began when Chavez was alive. If it's not new, it has increased because the opposition with international economic support has developed an international campaign that has been successful.
Putting Venezuela in the same box as Syria, a country where up to 5.5 million people have fled as a result of the civil war, which has claimed the lives of around 400,000 lives, is misleading. Most Venezuelans are leaving the country because of the current economic situation, a situation which is being made worse by sanctions imposed by Washington and some of its allies. Last week, President Nicolas Maduro announced that the country's national cryptocurrency, the Petro, an initiative which seeks to stabilize the economy, would begin its open market sale at the end of the month, allowing citizens to buy the virtual currency online. The Western media instead, however, chose to focus on the US, declaring it illegal. Freddie Gillingham, teleSUR, Caracas.
In Russia, there's a very different opinion about Venezuela's Petro. The Russian Cryptocurrency and Blockchain Association recognized Venezuela and President Nicolas Maduro as pioneers in creating and implementing the first commodity-secured coin. The award was received by the Venezuelan ambassador to Moscow, Carlos Fierro. The caravan of former Brazilian President Lula da Silva reached its final stop on Wednesday in the southern city of Curitiba. Over 3,000 people turned out to support Lula, who promised them he will be returning to power. Lula remains the favorite to win October's presidential election, but Brazilian courts are about to decide whether to send him to prison for alleged corruption, which would prevent him from running. And during his speech in Curitiba, Lula also announced he's going to sue Netflix following the premiere of its new series, O Machismo, The Mechanism. The former Brazilian president believes the show will manipulate voters ahead of the election. The Netflix series is inspired by the infamous Petrobras case, a big corruption and bribery scandal in Brazil. Lula, as well as Dilma Rousseff, view the narrative as biased.
It's another lie. This Netflix series, against which we will bring a lawsuit, in Brazil, in the US, in Europe, everywhere. They know that I know how to fix this country because when I was elected in 2002, Brazil was worse than it is today. If they don't know how to take care of Brazil, then let a mechanic without a diploma take care of it, take care of the people.
Bolivian President Evo Morales attended the reenactment of a famous battle against Chilean troops on Wednesday. The event, which took place in the southern city of Potosi, was moved to coincide with the closing arguments presented by Chile in The Hague in the maritime dispute between the two countries. Bolivian soldiers stopped the advance of Chile in 1879 in the Battle of Canchas Blancas. Morales hailed the historic Bolivian victory and said he has faith in the International Court of Justice. Time now for a short break, but join us again after a look at what our multimedia colleagues are reporting. Welcome back. Now to Peru, where the prosecutor's office has started a preliminary investigation into bribery allegations against 3 lawmakers, as well as former President Alberto Fujimori's son, Kenji. The investigation includes former Minister Bruno Guifa, who is involved in the alleged Kuczynski vote-buying scandal. 2 lawmakers from the Fuerza Popular Party will also be investigated for bribery and other allegations. This is according to the official Twitter account of the Peruvian prosecutor's office. In Brazil, the government is toughening up its stance to counter violence on the streets. The National Congress is constructing a bill that will classify social movements fighting for their rights as terrorist groups.
Eduardo Borges, coordinator of the homeless workers movement in Brasilia, is not surprised by the possibility that in the context of today's Brazil, an anti-terrorism law may be modified to classify members of his social movement as extremist and violent.
Because these social movements are very large and they cannot kill everyone, even if they try, so what they try to do is halt their actions with the law. Now, they want to frame everyone by applying an anti-terrorism law to stop movements such as MST, MTST and others, which have played a leading role to counter the infringement of rights and which oppose the coup.
Land occupations and roadblocks are among the actions listed as terrorist acts in the draft law, authored by rural lawmakers Jerónimo Joergen. The landless workers' movement insists that fighting for rights cannot be considered a crime.
To
facilitate the work of this coup, they are creating laws. So now they want to amend the anti-terrorism law and thus categorize popular social movements, such as the MTST and the MST, as terrorist movements, to prevent us from continuing our fight and our resistance. We cannot obey a law of this nature because it is a law created by an illegitimate, unelected government. That's why there's going to be a confrontation.
Members of the Workers' Party contend that it is the Brazilian right wing that promotes acts of far-right violence, such as the armed attack on the caravan of former President Lula in the south of the country.
Terrorist acts are being carried out by right-wing militias organized even by parliamentarians who want to stunt the growth of the actions being taken by social movements. Social movements cannot be seen as terrorism. They do not commit terrorist offenses. They fight to improve lives. What we are seeing on the other side are terrorist actions that make use of society's organizations to carry out their terrorist acts.
The Anti-Terrorism Act was approved in 2016, supposedly to cope with threats during the Olympics, and one of its articles even prevents the criminalization of social movements. But with the alteration of the rules, this law could broaden its scope and imprison those struggling for rights.
Also in Brazil, 3 advisors and close friends of President Michel Temer have been arrested. This is part of an ongoing investigation into whether the head of state signed a decree to benefit a port company in exchange for bribes. The federal police in Sao Paulo detained 3 people, including the owner of the Rodrimar Port Company. 6 of Temer's closest advisors are currently also under investigation. Unions in Argentina are demanding the Buenos Aires provincial government reverse its decision to force teachers into early retirement while also decreasing pensions by 40%. Leaders from 2 teachers' unions presented their case to a court in La Plata on Wednesday. The governor of the Buenos Aires province, Maria Eugenia Vidal, wants teachers over the age of 60 or those who've worked for 30 years or more to retire. Vidal, a member of President Mauricio Macri's right-wing Cambiemos party, is also hoping to eliminate the vacations they are owed. And in Nicaragua, the Association for Parents of Children with Disabilities is creating new educational programs for children. They hope the initiative will help the children be included more in society.
Osmer is 9 years old. He doesn't speak. Ruth, his mother, has made use of special programs. She can see clear benefits of this program offered through the Association of Parents for Children with Disabilities, known as Pipitos.
It's important for his future to keep growing. Without this help, he wouldn't know anything, and at first he didn't want to go.
Pipitos has 30 years experience of working with families. They say they're ready to take care of the children and educate them. Now, with the help of the government, through the Ministry of Education, the goal is to improve conditions for children with disabilities.
Teachers will have inclusive classrooms. They will accommodate both children with and without disabilities. This will allow them to teach children math, reading, and writing to first and second graders with different abilities.
Creating a workflow with the teachers, innovation in technology, and working with the National Council of Universities are all part of the program.
20 to 25% of children will at some point need extra support. Our plan is to gradually expand the coverage.
A report on the achievements of the program will be presented on April 5th. It is hoped it will lead to improved rights and inclusion for children with disabilities.
Students in Chile are protesting against the government's decision to allow universities to become for-profit organizations. They say education should be a fundamental right of the people, and there are concerns about what this could mean for tuition fees, as Chile already has the fourth most expensive university system in the world.
Behind this, you find the university's owners and their companies, who instead of improving the education system through better professors and infrastructure, they rather invest their money in the market to get profit. This was forbidden by the Higher Education Act, passed last year.
Jamaica believes in second chances, and this means prisoners will soon be receiving secondary education. This is part of the Prisoners to College pipeline to help them integrate back into society and get jobs. Research shows that inmates involved in educational programs have a higher chance of being rehabilitated. The program was first pitched last year but was delayed due to funding.
I think
And a community in Guatemala is hoping that Constitutional Court will cancel a license that was granted to mining company Exmingua. They say people affected by the firm's exploration activities should have been consulted before the mining rights were given out.
The mining exploration company of Guatemala, Exmingua S.A., stopped its gold and silver extraction activities 19 months ago, after receiving an order from the Constitutional Court.
The company took their machines away because they know that this legal process won't be quick.
Residents say that they started this case in the Supreme Court of Justice after Exmingua settled in their surroundings without previous consultation.
We're waiting for the courts to solve 2 pending cases and to call us there to give our first statements about a different case.
We hope the verdict benefits our community and definitively forbids mining here.
Residents will continue to hold their peaceful protests against mining that started 6 years ago. They say they've been victims of repression by the state many times.
We take shifts of 6 days and stay the whole day. It's been tough when they repress us because they don't even care about women here.
Exmingua occupies 25 kilometers of San Jose del Golfo's territory. Residents say the environmental impact has affected the water supply.
The pits are really deep, so they might have drilled water sources that we use. We get water each 4 days, and that is not enough.
Peaceful resistance is being made by more than 90% of the population in the company's area, according to the list of the communities.
Time now for another short break, but join us again after another look at what our multimedia colleagues are reporting. Welcome back. Former French President Nicolas Sarkozy is to face trial for corruption and influence peddling, according to French media. Sarkozy is alleged to have sought to influence judges who were looking into the suspected illegal financing of his campaign. In a separate case, the ex-president is also accused of receiving campaign funding from the late Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi. Mobile phone footage of a 3-year-old boy being detained by Israeli soldiers is provoking outrage online. Here's more on that and other headlines from around the world.
In the latest injustice to be meted out against Palestinian minors at the hands of Israeli security services, 2 soldiers in the occupied Palestinian territory have been filmed reportedly attempting to detain a 3-year-old child. In the cell phone footage, the father of the infant is seen struggling to get his son while soldiers push him back. According to the Palestinian prisoner rights group Adamir, more than 12,000 Palestinian children have been arrested by Israel since 2000. Nobel laureate and education activist Malala Yousafzai has returned to Pakistan for the first time after Taliban shot her in 2012. She was just 12-year-old and was advocating for female education in the Taliban-dominated area in northern Pakistan. After the deadly attack, she was taken to the UK. She rose to international fame for her courage. In 2014, she became the youngest person to receive a Nobel Peace Prize. She shared her Nobel Peace Prize with Indian activist Kailash Satyarthi.
For the last 5 years, I have dreamed of once again setting foot in my home country. Whenever I travel by plane or car, I see the cities of London, New York. I will tell myself, just imagine you are in Pakistan, or you are traveling in Islamabad, that you are in Karachi. It was never true, but now today I see, I'm very happy.
Kenyan opposition figure Maguna Maguna, who was detained at Nairobi airport since Monday, has now been sent to Dubai. Maguna has said he was unlawfully detained, then assaulted and dragged on board a Dubai-bound flight. Kenyan officials argue that Maguna holds a Canadian passport and is not a Kenyan citizen. Although the High Court ruled that he should be released and brought back, President Raila Odinga has refused to do so. British police have said that the former Russian double agent Sergei Skripal and his daughter Yulia Skripal were poisoned at home. During their investigation, they found a high concentration of the nerve agent on Skripal's front door knob. This would appear to refute earlier claims by the British intelligence services that the deadly nerve agent had been placed in Yulia's suitcase before she left Russia. British authorities continue to allege that Russia was behind the poisoning, but so far has not given any physical proof. More than 100 Russian diplomats have been expelled from over 20 countries over allegations made by Britain.
Easter is an extremely busy time for kitchens across Mexico. Households across the country prepare a host of traditional dishes to celebrate the holiday. But the economic crisis is forcing some to abandon tradition.
Easter is a holiday that is also seen as a celebration of Mexican cuisine. Dishes like revoltijo, which are rustic greens cooked in a mole sauce, are must-haves in most households.
The revoltijo has romerito greens cooked with potatoes and cactus. But if you can afford it, you can also include shrimps.
Consuming meat is not allowed on Easter, so Mexicans search for different vegetables and seafood for their Easter feast.
We use lettuce to make the salad, and you can mix it with tuna. Sometimes fish is too expensive, so you use tuna as an alternative.
Fish has long been a staple in most homes, but it is no longer within everyone's reach.
Shrimp costs $4.38 a kilogram. They just raised the price of it. But for a person that earns the minimum wage, how can they afford a kilogram of fish? There is no way.
Inflation in Mexico is the highest it has been in 15 years, and the people are feeling the pinch.
I always buy a lot of cod, 2 or 3 kilograms, and now I'm buying just 1. I can't afford more.
The economic crisis has put 53 million people under the poverty line, robbing them of a well-preserved tradition this holiday.
Well, that story brought us to the end of the newscast. For these and many other stories, you can find them on our website at telesurtv.net/English. You can also join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For TeleSUR English, I'm Soini Gray. Thank you so much for watching.